Tonight, Toronto joins ceremonies held across the country to mark the 30th anniversary of the Montreal Massacre. U of T, one of 14 universities joining together to illuminate the sky in honor of the 14 women killed. Plus,
we're looking for proposals that maintain the quality of education in Ontario rather than the cuts that they've already proposed.
They are walking out again. High school teachers are planning another one-day strike. Plus,
sounds of the season on CBC Radio 1.
It's an annual tradition here at the CBC. We've got your Sounds of the Season highlights. Good evening, I'm Mike Wise. 30 years ago tonight, a gunman killed 14 women at Montreal's École Polytechnique in what's become known as the Montreal Massacre. As you saw, the national ceremonies were held across the country to honor the victims, including a special ceremony at the University of Toronto. Artalia Ricci was there.
Beams of light illuminated the sky this evening across the country.
We'll now observe a moment of silence.
The lights representing the 14 women's ambitions and lives that were cut short 30 years ago tonight. The mass shooting continues to have an impact on many in Quebec. For some at Toronto's ceremony, memories of that day linger.
I can remember the day very clearly. I was a first-year engineering student, and I heard about the shootings on the radio on my drive home from school.
I remember being very confused and bewildered how somebody could do this.
Michel Richard, Annie Saint-Arnaud.
Their names written and read today so they aren't forgotten. Most of them were engineering students. For women who were students at the time, the tragedy shifted their mindset.
To me, I didn't see myself as any different than any other engineering student. But those events really shook me to my core because it really created sort of a distinction by gender between men and women.
There was very limited security in them exam halls and your backs were to the doors, and I was thinking somebody was going to come in and kill us, and it was kind of very nerve-wracking when you're trying to write your exams. But then I think that gave me the resilience to actually stay in the industry.
And a will for women in the industry today to continue pursuing their ambitions.
I think when I walk the halls every day, I just know how lucky I am to be here and to know that we have a responsibility as the next generation of engineers to pave a way for what's to come.
Many saying much has changed since the anti-feminist attack, also known as the worst mass shooting in Canadian history. But breaking down barriers remains a priority, a sentiment that resonates especially on this day.
We're engineers, we're educated to be complex problem solvers, so if we can build real bridges, maybe we can build metaphorical ones as well.
Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, Toronto high school teachers could be walking off the job again next Wednesday. Their union is calling for another one-day strike. Like the one 2 days ago, though, this one won't be province-wide, but it will target the TDSB. The union says the province isn't being reasonable in contract negotiations, and the education minister is saying the exact same thing about the union. Farah Morali has more.
Outside the Toronto District School Board office on Yonge Street, dozens of teachers walk the sidewalks and even the streets with a clear message to the government, a message it plans to repeat on Wednesday.
We've considered a lot of things, obviously, but this is our decision.
Today, the head of the OSSTF said it's back to the picket lines because it says the government isn't bargaining in good faith or even bargaining at all.
We need to get to a bargaining table. We need to get them to start to propose things that are good for the quality of education.
Before Bischoff even formally announced the strike, the education minister held a preemptive press conference saying it's the OSSTF that's not bringing anything new to the table.
The government has been consistently reasonable through this process. The ball is in OSSTF's court. We've made moves. It's now time for them to do the same.
So what does it all really come down to? Three main things: money, class sizes, and mandatory e-learning. For compensation, the province is offering a 1% annual wage increase. The union wants closer to 2%. For class sizes, the government is offering an average of 25, down from the initial plan to make it 28. The union wants to keep the average at 22. And when it comes to e-learning, the province wants to bring in 2 mandatory classes. The union isn't so convinced and wants to discuss how effective they are.
We're looking because we have a common goal. Yes, it's a different union, but we're all about our public education system. We're all about students, no matter what their age.
A group that's watching all this closely, elementary school teachers. They're wrapping up week 2 of work to rule.
If it has to go to a strike, I personally feel it is part of my job to strike. That is what it is, right? You know, teachers have a lot of power to change the lives of our students, and if that means I have to stand on the street in the cold and picket for them, then that's exactly what I'm going to do.
How the government deals with secondary school teachers could impact how their negotiations play out. Right now, no word of job action escalation just yet. Farah Morali, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, for a full list of the boards affected, you can head to our website, cbc.ca/Toronto, or you can find that also on the CBC News app. A video is circulating online showing the dangers of not clearing snow and ice from your car. It shows a windshield being shattered on Highway 403 in Mississauga. As Greg Ross tells us, the OPP is using it to remind drivers there could be consequences for not clearing your car.
It looks like something right out of a 3D movie. Up ahead, chunks of ice can be seen flying from the roof of one vehicle and hurtling directly towards this dash cam. In an instant, the window in front of the dash cam is shattered.
At highway speed, that flying piece of ice may not feel like much, but when it hits your vehicle going 100 kilometers per hour, that can be devastating.
OPP Sergeant Kerry Schmidt says it happens all too often on GTA highways. He says drivers are lucky if they get away with only a smashed windshield.
The danger is if a driver panics, loses control, the worst could be a fatality. You could go right into the ditch or into another vehicle because you can't see what's coming.
Tow truck driver Alan McConnell deals with the aftermath of these kinds of accidents all the time. In fact, he responded to a flying ice incident on the 401 2 days ago.
We had a tractor trailer lose a 4x4 sheet of ice off the top of his truck. Went through a lady's windshield.
He says that woman was lucky to come away with minor injuries. It's not as easy for the driver of a tractor trailer to clear off the top of their vehicle, but McConnell says people in cars have no excuse.
But you have a lot of people, they're so pressed by time now, they're going to walk out their briefcase, they're in their suits or coffee, and they'll see their vehicles covered in snow, and you're just going to get them to just go, okay, I can see, let's go, and hope the wind takes the rest of it off.
Schmidt says drivers who don't properly clear off their windshield, headlights and taillights could face fines, but he says there's not much they can do about snow on the hood or roof of someone's car.
Well, they can certainly be pulled over and spoken to. There is no specific fine that says snow on your vehicle or snow come flying off your vehicle. This comes down to a civil matter.
Schmidt says if snow or ice flies off of a car or a transport truck and causes damages, the driver of that vehicle could be sued, and they could be facing multiple lawsuits if there's a collision or if people get hurt. Greg Ross, CBC News, Mississauga.
Colette Kennedy's here with a first look at the forecast. We got a chilly start to the weekend.
Yeah, we certainly do, Mike, because we're looking at that cold air that's going to filter in and a breeze from the northwest. So you have to factor in the winds to get your wind chill. So it's going to be a chilly start tomorrow morning. But I want to kind of show you some of that colder air to the west of us, how it's trying to move in and have an impact. And certainly into Saturday, we feel it a bit. But Sunday, look at this. We see that seesaw effect, and the milder air pushes in not just over the lower Great Lakes, but right across the Great Lakes region. So winds are 9 degrees by Sunday, up to 6 after not even really making it to freezing for a high for tomorrow. So that's what you have to look forward to. Mild as well into Monday, but Tuesday, don't get too accustomed to these numbers because we may hit those highs likely early in the day, and then the temperature will actually be falling. So the big picture here shows that we're kind of bookended by systems. Now the lake effect, because of the northwesterly winds, we do have a few weather advisories around the Bruce Peninsula and through Mount Forest, but otherwise partly cloudy conditions overnight tonight, and we should just be seeing a mix of sun and cloud tomorrow, albeit on the cold side. More clouds do come in for Sunday, though. It comes with the warm up, and it looks like the rain showers will hold off till later Sunday night and into Monday. So that's nice to see. We get mild and hopefully dry. -9 tonight, though. There's a wind chill I spoke of. -15 is how it's going to feel tomorrow afternoon. -1 for our high. We'll get into a little more detail of what happens with that system coming Sunday into Monday coming up, Mike.
Okay, thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
A major comedy show is facing some tough economic news tonight. Toronto's Sketch Comedy Festival is losing as much as $40,000 in funding. because of provincial government cuts. As Ali Chasson tells us, some local comedy stars are coming together tonight to help make sure the show goes on.
Toronto's Sketchfest is known in the comedy community as Comedy Christmas.
In Canada, there's only one sketch comedy festival, and it puts ensemble-based comedy into the spotlight and puts it in its best light and puts it on a proper theatrical stage and lighting, and you know these artists get to feel like rock stars for 2 weeks. Without it, I don't know, lumps of coal for Comedy Christmas, I guess. I don't know. But it would be a real downer.
All jokes aside, Sketchfest relies on funding from all 3 levels of government, including a grant of about $30,000 or $40,000 each year through the Celebrate Ontario program. That program had its budget slashed this year. The fund was cut $7 million by the government. But the province also introduced a $4 million investment for large-scale events. Sketchfest doesn't meet that bar, but the government says they can reapply next year. At any rate, it means more organizations this year are out fundraising for their own festivals. Enter Bruce McCullough.
No hoopla. You know what hoopla makers get?
Yeah, that Bruce McCullough. He's headlining a benefit comedy show tonight to raise money for the upcoming festival in March. We joined him at a table read downtown.
Yeah, and I think everybody said yes, unfortunately the kids in the hall couldn't all be here because they have to be in other cities. But everybody wants to do it, and yes, there's an amazing array of people who are there tonight. I travel around to other cities and do things. There's no other place in the world, maybe LA, that has this vibrant sketch community.
There's a part of me that feels badly for other types of organizations that don't have access to this, but I'm hopeful that this laugh rally is a little bit of a rally cry for those other organizations too. Hopefully, we can drum up enough noise by enough people who believe that arts and culture are worth our public investment.
Ali Chasson, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, after our break, we're going to have an update on our effort here at CBC Toronto to raise much-needed money for people who rely on food banks across the GTA. Just in time for the holidays, it's an important cause, but that didn't stop people from having a whole lot of fun.
Live from Glenn Gould's studio, it's Sounds of the Season on CBC Radio
1. There are so many people who are without, especially at this time of year.
It's Sounds of the Season, a day full of music and, of course, giving. We'll show you all of the highlights next. Today was CBC Toronto's Sounds of the Season fundraiser with the Daily Bread Food Bank. It was full of music, holiday spirit, and of course, giving. It was a jam-packed day here at our broadcast center, and a very special one as CBC Toronto, along with your help, gives back to the community. As Kelda Yoon, who was our Sounds of the Season correspondent this year, she tells us today was also special for another big reason.
As with every year, people arrived early.
I got here at 5. We were up on the bus at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Many with donations in hand.
There are so many people who are without, especially at this time of year.
Sounds of the Season has been around for 17 years, and in that time we've seen the need simply grow. 14% over the last 10 years.
This year, the crowd even bigger than usual. It probably has something to do with this man.
Good luck, Matt. Congratulations.
Matt Galloway arriving for one final broadcast as host of Metro Morning.
Edition live from Glenn Gould's studio. It's Sounds of the Season on CBC Radio 1. What does a day like today mean?
This is critical. It's also enlightening, and it's actually it's wonderful. I mean, to have this crowd here. I mean, obviously they're here for you.
No, they're not.
But,
I think they're actually here for the cause. To be honest.
But we'd like to think that they're here for the Daily Bread Food Bank.
A slate of talented musicians were on hand to wake up the crowd.
One more time.
Including the Bare Naked Ladies.
Snowflakes on the ground, but it's a green Christmas in this town.
Outside the gold,
Jingle bells, jingle bells.
kids and kids at heart got to have some fun.
How much fun are you guys having here today?
Like maybe 100% fun.
How about you?
100%.
100% fun. I like that. High five.
Hi, guys! Hello, come on over.
Olympian Kayla Alexander also donating her time and sharing some basketball tips.
That's very easy to do in high heels, right? The old layup. Oh!
How did they do?
Well, we didn't have regulation nets, but considering it was a regulation, they didn't do too bad.
Last year, CBC Sounds of the Season raised a record over $740,000 and almost 19,000 pounds of food. It looks like we are on track to surpass that this year.
Sounds of the Season helps out in two ways. One is the food and the funds, and the second is this growing movement of people who are discontented with the status quo and want to see systemic change. They want to see us advocate for those who are experiencing poverty, and they want to lift them up.
If we don't take care of each other, we are really nothing. Together, we are everything.
Now everyone was having fun today. We're helping to make a real difference in our city. So far, look at this. You have helped CBC Toronto raise more than $588,453 for the Daily Bread Food Bank. That is almost $200,000 more than this time last year. Thank you so much for your support. You've also helped us raise 3,500 pounds of food. And if you haven't donated yet, don't worry, you still can. You can either donate online at cbc.ca/SOTS, or you can drop off canned goods here at the Broadcast Center. We're collecting donations until the end of the month. Stay with us. We're back after this break.
The weather update is brought to you by Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
Yesterday, we showed you some moments from Matt Galloway's last studio sign-off for Metro Morning. Well, today, during our Sounds of the Season fundraiser at Glen Gould Theatre, Matt officially signed off for the last time in front of that studio audience.
I know what it's like when you wake up and you're cranky and groggy and you don't know what's going on, and you turn the radio on and suddenly there's something there that tells you a little bit about the city. I've never taken, as I said yesterday, that responsibility for granted of being the first thing that people hear. We have an amazing city, and you've seen it this morning. People have come from all over the place to be involved in helping to build the city. You have one of the biggest bands in the country, a band that is known all around the world, who donate their time and their talent to be here in the morning to help raise up this city. It has been the joy and the pleasure of my lifetime to be able to talk about this town, to help get people interested in this city, and 10 years is a long time. I'm looking forward to waking up a little bit later. But I will miss everything about this, and this day in particular is just something else. So thank you, everybody, for being here. It's been a real pleasure.
Now, as Matt was just talking about, and as you saw in Kelda's piece earlier, the Bare Naked Ladies performed here this morning. Take a look at the surprise they planned for Matt.
Folks, if you care even a little bit about our friend Matt Galloway, you'll sing along. Here we go. Just repeat after me. If I had $1 million, well, I'd buy you a green dress, but not a real green dress, that's cool. If I had $1 million, sing it! If I had $1 million, well, I'd buy you some art, a Picasso or a Garfunkel. I really love Matt Galloway. Well, I'd buy you a monkey. Haven't you always wanted a monkey? If I had $1 million, I'd buy your love. Everybody! If I had $1 million.
Kyle Kennedy's back with our extended forecast. We've got a real extremes, weekend of extremes when it comes to the temperature.
Yeah, it's exactly the way to describe it, that kind of seesaw effect that we get into sometimes, Mike. So we're on the lower end of the seesaw, the cold into the first start of the weekend, and then the warmer stuff comes in for the second half with that seesaw. So snow squalls overnight tonight. Maybe a flurry might reach towards the lower Great Lakes, but primarily this is going to be on the shores on the lee of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay, as we often see with that northwesterly breeze. So those areas that'll be affected by that. Chilly Saturday, yes. Sunday, the temperatures spiking up on us. And we will say spiking. For this time of year, they're pretty significant because they're more than twice what we would normally have this time of year for our average high. The outlook, though, in terms of the precipitation, there are some of those squalls that kind of weaken as the winds die off as we get into tomorrow morning. So that eases off. It means more sunshine all around, not just down towards Lake Ontario. We'll be seeing more of that as well up into cottage country. Into the afternoon hours, looks good, becoming more of a mix of sun and clouds. Sometimes these models don't show you as much cloud cover as we may be seeing at times, but it's into Sunday we get more of that moving in. We should still get a few sunny breaks, but there'll definitely be more cloud in our skies Sunday. But in terms of the rain showers, it does look like timing-wise, it's going to be after 6 before we start to see those showers developing. And so that's overnight Sunday and into Monday. Monday will be a wet day where we're going to see around 10, maybe 15 millimeters of rain falling through the day. Overnight for southwestern Ontario, your wind chills a range of -9 to -12, so they're almost more important than what you're seeing there for your temperatures on the thermometer. Tomorrow afternoon, you get above freezing. All right, a little bit. Could have a few flurries still in the morning hours around London or Sarnia, but I would expect that'll be gone by the afternoon. And then that wind chill overnight tonight. So keep in mind, we tend to hit this kind of towards the morning hours. So if you're up early on Saturday, 6 a.m. or so, it's basically going to be feeling like that. In the afternoon, that struggle to get to freezing or above Hamilton, St. Catharines, you should at least get there. Sunday, though, that lovely warm up, so 6 degrees, inherit the cloud cover. Okay, that's fine. We'll take it as long as we get that warm up, right? Stays warm into Monday, too, with the rain showers. And then Tuesday, take note that 4 degrees, then the temperature will be falling through the day. And boy, oh boy, we're set up for a big change, almost a 10-degree temperature drop with those afternoon readings that we'll be seeing into next week.
We are going to feel that temperature just drop on Tuesday, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to notice it after a couple of mild days, that's for sure.
Okay, thanks a lot, Colette.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, before we go, we want to show you more from our Sounds of the Season fundraiser today. I know we've shown you a lot, but there were just so many good moments. This performance is courtesy of the singing Do the Damn Thing. Maybe they're referring to donating. Have a great weekend, everyone.